Welcome again, listeners, to episode 2 of Cloud Profits. This is your host, Muhammad Ibrahim. We have a great episode for you where we continue to dive into how to prosper in the tech industry and bring you actionable information on the latest in tech jobs, working independently, and launching your own startup. Because this is one of the episodes tackling tech jobs, I just want to start by saying if you're looking for a new job and you're still receiving those "we moved forward with other candidates" emails, I want to tell you about a special rejection call that I've received a few years ago. At the time, I was at the Bay Area, towards the end of a 4 week visit, where I've interviewed with a number of companies and received as many rejection emails. That day was different, though. I was excited. It was the day after I finally received a great offer to work with an awesome and exceptionally talented team. I was checking my voicemail later that day, and there it was, another rejection. The funny part was, it came from a smaller company that was offering a smaller compensation package than the one I've received just a day before. I'm not sure how I would have felt had this happened before I received an offer the day before. All I know is that I felt appreciation for the person for calling instead of emailing, and for having a very supportive tone in her voice. I replied with the nicest email, thanking her for her gesture. So take it easy. Rejection will continue, even after you've received a great offer. Just keep processing those rejections with your head, not your heart. It goes without saying, rejections will never bother you once you get an offer. And you won't even remember them while killing it at your new job. So never let them wear you out. Maybe because we're talking today about tech jobs, you're probably expecting mentions of resumes, cover letters, LinkedIn, lead code, and all that jazz. And they are important. But I want to fast forward to an interview, a real success story that might fly in the face of all that. And as promised in the last episode, we'll also go through some important resources, but after this amazing interview. So, without further ado, today I'm speaking with Mouhammad Quershi. Mohammed, welcome to Cloud Profits.
Thanks for having me on the show. I'll start by introducing myself. My name's Mouhammad Quershi. I'm a full stack developer, and I've been doing this for almost a decade now. Um, Currently, I work for a large telecommunications company. They provide services to uh, Canadian telecommunications providers, various large ones. And I'm a lead developer there. I work with two junior devs, mostly doing refactoring and rewriting some of the older code, older microservices that are there. Um, and on the side, I also have my own company, Phazon Corp, and I provide services to contract services to a bunch of different clients, and I've been doing that for like 5, 6 years on the side.
Busy man, what kind of tech stack do you use and how does your workday look like?
My current employer, I work with Vue.js on the front end. Um, the microservices, like the back end, is mostly Node.js. There are some services written in Python, handling some of the heavier stuff. Um, and there's some external services that we use to help with like call routing and things like that. Um, and I've been mostly doing things around refactoring, like cleaning up some of the code. It's not very well written, so I'm trying to modularize things, standardize things, help with some of the queries that are slower, making them more performant, making the code more scalable, because there's a lot of scalability issues here. So I'm trying to help with that, and that's mostly my job, like doing things on a more lead level. So like on a higher level, viewing the application and trying to uh, make a better standard and trying to give sort of direction on how we should do things for the whole team.
Okay, great. So you're self-taught developer. How did you start and how you got here?
Yes, I am a full self-taught developer. Been doing this for about a decade, as I said. I started uh, at a call center, um, and I had the opportunity to look at uh, web developer as a job. From there, I got an opportunity to work on some websites for our internal team, and that that led me to um, look into JavaScript because I was writing HTML and CSS. So obviously, next step was JavaScript. So I got an opportunity to write some JavaScript, and then I thought about maybe starting this as a career. They of course had their own development team, focusing on other stuff, more important stuff. So I got to do some shadowing, as they call it. So I got an opportunity to meet the team and see how they work, and then I came up with some ideas on tools that I could build for my team internally that they could use to help with the calls that they take, or look at stats, um, individual performance. So I built I wrote the code for that mostly on my own time, on my own personal time at home, and then I shared it with my supervisor, my immediate manager, and they were very supportive. They showed it to other managers, and everybody was in, and they allowed time for me to do this off the calls. So I got opportunity to part of my day uh, develop this application or applications, and then I got the opportunity to share this with the different call centers that we have Canada wide. Um, so we had various teams that were using these tools, and that was pretty amazing for me. Um, that that helped me write on my resume that, hey, I've been able to do coding here, so I have real life experience writing code. I also did some coding for nonprofit organizations. It was just an opportunity or a way for me to write code that would eventually get used by some companies, so I could have some reference, I could have some experience that I could put on my resume, and uh, that way I could position myself as a self-taught developer who has real life experience and is ready to move on to a real role.
Wow. What a journey. Let me ask you about your first developer job. How was the interview like and how much were you paid then?
Kijiji, if you can believe it.
You found the job listed on Kijiji. For those outside Canada, Kijiji is what Craigslist is in the US and other countries. They obviously have classified ads and they advertise some jobs. So you found a job on Kijiji. What did you do?
Um, I sent my resume out and then got an interview. Interview compared to most interviews, I felt uh, it was very relaxed. It didn't seem like like an interview. It seemed like more like a conversation, which was awesome. I really liked that approach. I didn't feel like I didn't feel as nervous as I would at other interviews. Um, so yeah, I was really relaxed. They showed me the application. They asked me if I could do the work. They asked me, you know, what experiences I have, what was my most difficult task, and how did I take it on? How did I solve the problem? So just my approach. How do I problem solve? Think about things. And yeah, when I got the first offer, I could not believe it because my thought was that, hey, I'm making about $40,000 as a call center agent. Maybe I'll make 30,000 as a junior dev, and I'll work my way in. Like, I got to get my foot in the door, and once I do that, everything will go up from there. But I couldn't believe it. Like the first job offer I got, the email I got, it was for 72,000. So that was like I thought I became a millionaire pretty much. It's such a big jump. It's almost double my salary. So to go to that, um, I was really excited. I couldn't believe it at first. I thought it was meant for somebody else, and they mistakenly sent it to me. That was my honest feeling when I first saw that email.
That's amazing. You have no idea how happy I am with how much you're willing to share with our listeners and how genuine you are in describing the details of how it felt like. So, how were you able to learn all those new skills by yourself?
The thing about my first job was that I was hired to take on an existing application, um, which was written mostly in jQuery. Um, and then there was a version 3 of that application, which was written in AngularJS. And so I had to be able to learn AngularJS, and that was I had no idea how MVC frameworks work, and I never worked with anything like that. I worked with simple JavaScript and jQuery that I wrote on my own. So coming into this organization, they have like proper, at least the version 3 was written very well, and it was very modularized, and it followed all the good patterns of AngularJS. So for me, that was, and obviously you may have heard this, like AngularJS, there's a steep learning curve for that. It's a very good framework. I really like it now that I understand how things work, but there was definitely a steep curve, and there was a lot of stress at first, not from the company, but from myself because I felt like I should know this, and they're paying me a lot, and I need to be able to do my job instead of you know lagging behind. So there was a lot of learning, of course, again at home. Me trying to uh, follow tutorials, go to the website, watch videos, just trying to learn and understand how AngularJS works. And there was a lot I had to learn. It wasn't just about AngularJS. I was changing OS. I was going from Windows to a MacBook because I needed a Unix system that worked well with a lot of the tools that you need for building these web applications. And Unix works best. Windows, especially back then, there was hardly any support for Windows. You were on your own pretty much, and that's what the devs there said. If you're going to use Windows, you're on your own. So I had to switch to Mac. I had to understand how the OS works. How does the terminal work? How do you use the different tools? How do you use basic terminal commands? There was so much to learn, and I was excited. I wanted to learn. Uh, it was just a lot of stress because of there was so much I didn't know. But eventually I did learn, and I'm glad I went through all that hard work and all that stress. It was worth it. Now I look back, I am completely happy that I went through it, because once you go through all that hard work and all that difficulty, it definitely pays off.
Of course, well said. So, Then you learned all those skills and you're ready for your next job. How different was your experience when interviewing as a front end developer and later on as a full stack developer from the typical tech giant interviews which we're accustomed to today? The whiteboard code challenge, the system design questions, and so forth. Did you have to go through this path, or were your interviews more relevant to the actual position you're interviewing for?
I feel like most of my interviews are I don't prepare for them honestly. I don't go read JavaScript again or what are the most common uh, questions asked or things like that. I really don't. I am just honest. I just I'm just being myself, and I go into those interviews and I try to treat it like just a conversation, and I have to just try to sell myself. I try not to be nervous. I try to be calm about it, and I am also upfront about the fact that I prefer not to be put on the spot and have to write code in front of everyone. I prefer a different approach, which is how I've been uh, interviewed in the past. Most of my interviews have been where they send me an email with a small, simple um, task that I have to complete, and it's a small, simple project, and it helps them see how I write code. What is my code like? Why do I like write it this way? It gives them an opportunity to ask questions and see my work, and that's fine by me. I don't as long as it's not something really big. Um, something I can make up in a night or two. Then I'm fine with that, and that's how my experience has been. So I'll submit the task, and then I'll come in for the interview, and I'll be there'll be a couple of people, a couple of devs around. Uh, they'll review my code, ask me some questions about why I did it a certain way. Um, Other interviews, it's been, and I think this is more of like at the senior level at this point where I've just been asked questions about my experiences, trying to, they're, I guess, trying to identify, how do I think, how do I solve problems, what happens when I get into a difficult problem, um, how do I handle stress, those kind of things. Um, and of course, I have references.
Makes sense. I believe the vetting process and interviews vary widely. It depends on the type of company and the type of role you're interviewing for. We'll dedicate at least a full Cloud Profits episode to talk about what you can expect from each type of company, being a startup or a tech giant, etc. So let me ask you, to what extent does a well written resume, good cover letters, complete LinkedIn profile, etc., help you in landing jobs or moving up in jobs?
As far as my resume goes, I think it has changed a lot. I mean, the way I had my resume and the way I have it now, I feel like is a day and night difference. And I think what you need to do on your resumes is to write resumes that are intriguing. You're trying to sell yourself. You're advertising yourself, and I think that's what you have to remember. So how do you advertise yourself? You have to look at your past and what have you accomplished? What have you achieved? What sets you apart, what makes and it can be simple things that when you're starting out, it doesn't have to be that you helped a company make $1 million. You can start by saying like you helped companies save money by doing this, or you helped simplify the tech stack by doing another thing, um, or you helped write a framework or a library or a tool for the company to use. There's a lot of things when you think about it you can write to show that you help the company in these different ways. And that's how I write my resume now. When I'm at a company, I am achieving goals, and that's what you need to do. Um, that's going to help you in multiple ways, but you need to look at, okay, how can I set myself up for success at this company? How can I help this company become better? And that not only helps you write things in your resume, it also helps you to set yourself up for a raise. So um, you can you can make a list of all the things you've done to help this company, and then 6 months or 1 year down the road, you can talk to your manager or director, whoever, and you can explain to them, hey, these are the things I've achieved. These are the things I've helped this company with, um, and now I'm looking for a raise. Um, and that is your supporting document, um, proof that you deserve a raise. And of course, if you're not sure what you should be doing at the company, then definitely you need to have that discussion with your manager, supervisor, whoever, about what it is that this company values. You need to identify what is going to help you move to the next level. And also, I like to take on jobs where I have to learn new things, because that puts stress on me to have to learn those new things, because that's what I need in order to be able to do my job. And that has two different factors. Like, not only do you learn new things on the job, you're getting paid to learn those things. So it forces you, it puts you in that habit that you got to always keep learning, but at the same time you're getting paid, and it's investment in yourself, which tomorrow pays to help you grow.
This is some great advice, and uh, I appreciate you sharing this strategy with us. I The best part of this advice is it's real and it has worked for you. I know that you in the past few years you were able to double your salary, and thank you for sharing this advice with our listeners. Unfortunately, we have more question for you than we can fit in just one episode. But we'll definitely have you again on the show and to share more awesome advice with our listeners. So thank you so much, Mohammed, for coming on the show. Listeners, that was Mouhammad Quershi, senior stack developer in Calgary, Alberta. Now, as promised, here are some resources that I feel would help you if you're looking for a new job or an internship. The first resource is a planning resource. Remember, in this episode, we're starting from the very beginning. Most people know Cracking the Coding Interview book by Gail Lackman McDowell as the book that help you solve interview coding problems. But it has some very useful planning chapters, mainly geared towards interviewing at tech giants, but I believe they are useful for planning your career at any level. It takes you through what you should be doing even a year before the interview, up till the night of your interview. Not sure if the writer is still doing this, but Facebook used to invite her to address new candidates. I've attended one of her live lectures with Facebook, and I find it fascinating how she's able to address, as an interviewer herself, the behavioral, technical, and system design interviews. So that was about preparations. Now let's talk about finding the jobs that we will interview for. Usually, this starts as an online search, but the resources that we're going to talk about are a bit different than your usual Indeed.com, Stack Overflow, LinkedIn jobs, and the likes. The idea here is that many companies use recruitment suites to handle job applications, and that's where they advertise new jobs first. at their career section at their own websites. So one website to use to browse companies in Canada is ilota.ca, which crawls Canadian companies' websites for new jobs. Ilota has the usual, the advanced search and saved searches and email notifications. I'm going into Ilota now, and you can see how recent the job posts you find in there. But even better, they have an RSS feed that you can customize with your own search terms. You add your search keywords here and the ones that you want to exclude over here. If you're not already using an RSS reader, I like InnoReader. They have a free tier and they automatically create a global RSS feed for you. If you want all the feeds you subscribe to be combined in a single RSS feed. And it has a modern look and a feel to it. Now, for US jobs, I don't have a website that does what Ilota does, but here's an effective way of finding jobs posted in US companies' websites. We already know the recruitment suites that most companies use. What we're going to do is just limit the search for subdomains of those recruitment suites. Here's what I mean. In Google search, we just write site colon star, then the domain for the recruitment suite. So for example, site colon star dot workable.com. Then you add your search keywords and exclude the words that you don't want to see. Of course, prefixing it with a hyphen. And you can do that with other domains as well. I have listed those domains, so if you need them, just send an empty email message to thecloudprofits at gmail.com. I know Cloud Profits was taken, so thecloudprofits at gmail.com. It's an auto reply address. It will reply with the link to the page with all the resources mentioned in today's episode. And with that, we come to the end of this episode of Cloud Profits. If you feel you're getting value from these episodes, then consider subscribing to the Cloud Profits channel so as not to miss any new content. You can also browse the channel for previous episodes. Until the next episode. Bye-bye.